Presentation was recorded live in Kansas City, Missouri for CALLERLAB's 23rd Annual Convention. This is tape number 5, the opening session.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's 9 o'clock, and today is Monday, April the 1st. Welcome to Kansas City and the 23rd CALLERLAB Convention. It's my pleasure and privilege to introduce the Chairman of the Board of Governors, Mr. Tony Oxendine.
Get my stuff organized. Well, you excited to be here yet? Yeah, you better be. This is really going to be a good convention. I'm excited. I'm kind of rested up. Just came in off a 7-day cruise down to the Caribbean. Yeah. Oh, well, it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. Unfortunately, I left Miami Sunday. It was 90 degrees. I left in shorts. Came to Kansas City, it was 9 degrees. Still in shorts. Anyway, it was a really fun cruise. We went down to Cozumel, Mexico, Ocho Rios, Jamaica, man. I even went to Hell. And I was there. Now, Hell's actually a little small town in the Grand Cayman Islands. Not much there is a post office and a couple of churches, which I felt was kind of appropriate. Anyway, we had a really exciting day in Cozumel. I discovered the wonders of tequila. And I went back to the ship and decided to take a nap, and I had a dream, and then I dreamed I really did go to hell. I was down in hell. The devil picked me up and was taking me down through. And it wasn't so bad. Saw a lot of callers there. No dancers. He took me and we opened the door to one room, and I looked in that room, and there was John Cottenthaler. He was sitting in this chair, had 4 of the ugliest women I have ever seen sitting on his lap. They were kissing on him, rubbing his little bald head. And I told the devil, I said, "Devil, what in the world is this situation here?" He said, "Tony, back on earth, John Cottenthaler was not a good man. This is his punishment." I said, "Wow." So we went down a little further, and we opened up another door, looked in there, and there was Stan Burdick. Sitting in his lap was 4 of the ugliest women I'd ever seen in my life. They were uglier than the ones in John's lap. I said, "Devil, tell me about this. What exactly?" He said, "Tony, back on earth, Stan was not a good man." I said, "Well, okay, I understand that." And he took me down and opened up another door, and there was George White. Sitting in George White's lap was Bo Derek. George was kissing all over Bo. It was just, and I said, "Devil, wait a minute. I don't understand something here now." I said, I know John Cottenthaler. And he's no John F. Kennedy, but I know John Cottenthaler, and I know Stan Burdick. Now, and I know George White. Now tell me why John and Stan would have these 4 ugly women all over them, and then I look in here and I know George White. Tell me why in the world that George White would have Bo Derek sitting on his lap that he could kiss all over, and John and Stan have these ugly women. And the devil looked at me and he said, "Well, Tony, back on earth, Bo was not a very good girl." Anyway, welcome to our 23rd annual convention. God, it's good to be in Kansas City, America's heartland. You know, that's kind of appropriate, us being in America's heartland, because when it's all said and done, we are the heart of the square dance activity. And it's going to be up to us eventually to keep our finger on its pulse. This convention promises to be many things. It's going to be busy. It's going to be educational. It'll be informative. And for some of you first-timers, it's going to be mind-blowing. The bottom line, however, is that this convention is going to be good for you and for the square dance activity. You'll have the opportunity at this convention to ask questions of some of the brightest minds in the activity. The executive committee has gone to great lengths and not just a small expense to staff some of the panels with extremely competent and capable callers. As a special bonus this year, we have Dr. Arlen Hopkins back with us. Now, for those of you guys that don't remember, several years ago, Dr. Hopkins did our very, very first voice panel that we ever had. And he probably remains the most popular speaker or presenter that we've had at our convention, so we're very, very excited to have him back. All of the various committees this convention will have at least one session. Try to attend as many of the sessions and meetings as you possibly can. However, because of the number of sessions and panels that were offered this year, we know that you're not going to be able to attend each one. No problem, man. Convention Tapes International are with us again this year, and they'll be taping all of the interest sessions. Now, you can pick up your tapes immediately after each session, or you can order the entire set. But please order early so that you can pick up your tapes before the end of the convention. Anyway, on behalf of the Executive Committee and the entire Board of Governors, welcome. We're really glad you're here. This is your convention, and I'm sure that the benefits of attending this convention are going to far outweigh any expense you had of getting here. Have a great convention. For those of you guys that are standing, we do have some open seats. There's some over here and some over here if you guys would like to come sit. Yeah, raise your hand if there's an empty seat beside you, or you can stay in the back. Bill, it'll probably be better. Johnny, it'll probably be better if you guys stay in the back. Any rest of you? Raise your hand again if you got seats beside you. We can help some of these guys out if they want to sit.
You may be doing that to keep from falling asleep.
Okay. We've got an hour and a half to do all of this, so we're going to try to start moving along. We're very pleased to have representatives from several of Square Dancing's national and international organizations with us this week. If you'd like to say a few words to our attending members, please step to the floor microphone as I introduce you. Representing Legacy, the chairman, Bernie and Carolyn Colthurst. The floor mic is right up in the front if you guys would like to say something. You don't have to, but if you like to. Representing the National Executive Committee, Presidents Carl and Jean McCarver, and Vice Presidents Glenn and Lois Baldwin. Glenn, you're going to have to buy you a new coat now. You've lost all that weight. Get Carl to write you a check. He can do it. Representing ROUNDALAB, Irvin Betty Easterday is chairman. Representing the United Square Dancers of America, Presidents Jim and Jody Temple. Representing the 1998 Carolinas Convention from the NSDC, General Chairman Gene Triplett. And the guy that the rest of you guys are going to have to kiss up to, Program Chairman Ron Jacobs. Representing the USAWest Convention, co-chairmans, President Kay Minnick. And Sam and Linda Markheim. The following associations are being represented by CALLERLAB members. The American Callers Association, John Saunders, in the back. CONTRALAB, Doris Howlett. The Lloyd Shaw Foundation, Rusty Wright. The Canadian Square and Round Dance Society, Doreen and Doyne Sillery. Now, are there any other organizations that I've forgotten? That I have not forgotten, that George did not put on my list? The Dixon's Mill and Anna Dixon representing the New England Square Dance Foundation. Any others? Okay. If you're attending your very first CALLERLAB convention, would you please stand? Oh, we're glad to see you. That's a good sight. That's a good sight. If you've attended at least 5 conventions, please stand. Oh, it gets better. It gets better. Now, stand and please stand. Please remain standing until the number exceeds your years of attendance. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Getting tired yet, John? 20.
I wasn't a good man now.
21, 22, 23. Now, those that are still standing have attended every CALLERLAB convention since 1974. And hold your applause, and let me introduce them for you. Stan Burdick, Herb Egender, Bob Howell, John Jones, one of the gentlemen that should have been standing with us today is Melton Luttrell. He was involved in quite a serious car accident. He's doing fine. His wife is still not doing real well. He called up here yesterday. He is going to do his best to be in here if she's doing at all better. So perhaps we could keep him in our thoughts and prayers. But Melton has attended every one. Continuing on, Martin Mallard, Jim Mayo, Jack Murtha, Bob Osgood, Francis Zeller, and continuing in alphabetical order, John Kaltenthaler. Now we're not finished yet. We're not finished yet. Now I want you to please remain standing if you also attended the mini lab in Australia in 1990. Again, in alphabetical order. John Jones, Jim Mayo, and John Kaltenthaler. Now, well, no, we're not quite done yet. Now, please remain standing if you've not only attended every CALLERLAB convention since 1974 and the mini lab in Australia in 1990, but in addition to that, the mini lab in England in 1994. Mr. John Jones. I would now like all of the previous chairmen of the board to stand as I introduce you. John Jones. Bob Osgood. Ernie Kinney. Mike Seastrom. And Jim Mayo. Now, if we could all stand for a moment of silence for those of us who are no longer with us. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce the newly elected and re-elected members of the Board of Governors. As I call your name, please come forward to be sworn in. Billy Harrison, Jerry Justin, Tom Miller, Wayne Morvant, and Jerry Reed. Board members re-elected to a 3-year term are the following: Laurel Eddy, Betsy Gatta, and Jerry Junk. Retiring from the board this year are the following: Greg Anderson, Stan Burdick, Bill Hyman, Keith Ripito, and Grace Wheatley. Now, as I introduce the incumbent members of the board, I'd like them to stand in place and join us in taking of the oath of office. Darrell Clendenin, Larry Cole, Dee Dee Darty Lottie, Randy Darty, no Lottie, Mike Jacobs, Melton Luttrell, Martin Mallard, John Marshall, Jim Mayo, me, Deborah Parnell, Ken Ratusi, Mike Seastrom, Al Stevens, John Sybalsky, continuing in alphabetical order, John Kaltenthaler. Now, to administer the oath of office, our Executive Director, George White.
Thank you, Tony. Please raise your right hand. I state your name. Accept this position of trust. As a serious responsibility. And pledge my services during my term on the CALLERLAB Board of Governors. I'm proud of you. I will put the welfare of my fellow members before my personal feelings. I will support the decisions of the majority and abide by the CALLERLAB Code of Ethics. All this I pledge as my support of the ideals of CALLERLAB. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen.
Onward and upward. Here's a chance to put a face on the wonderful people that you talk to and you call the home office. And I think these guys just do a fantastic job. And hold your applause until we introduce all of them, please. Our staff secretary, Georgie Johnson. Our finance administrator, Dar Johnson. Our office assistant, Pat Lovelace. Yeah, these guys may very well be out in registration. And Pat Schiefert, our other office assistant, who's back in Rochester answering some of the 5,000 phone calls that the home office receives each year. Now, could you give this whole group a nice hand? Now, we did not get to introduce, because he didn't put it on here, we did not get to introduce our executive director, Mr. George White. Now, our parliamentarian will make a few remarks about conducting committee meetings. John Sybalsky.
Actually, let's start with the Wednesday morning meeting. To keep it going, we run things fairly formally. There will be a set of motions. They will be brought up one at a time. The maker will move it, and then discussions in order. Regardless of how strongly folks feel about a particular topic, I ask, please remember that everybody here has the best interests of the activity at heart. If you're going to attack the idea and not the person. If you think a change is needed, get up and move an amendment, state what change you want, and then we can act on it. If you get up and say, I just think we should do it this way and sit down, nothing's going to happen. Committee meetings tend to run a lot less formally. If things are working and everybody's happy and everybody's agreed, do it in whatever way makes the most sense. If you need to step back and have a real discussion, then I suggest dropping back into get somebody to make a concrete suggestion as a motion, hold discussion on it, get amendments if you need to, and then take a formal vote. But the less formally you can operate, the happier folks will be.
Okay, at this time, I'd like the committee chairman or vice chairman to come to the floor mic and take a couple of minutes to tell us what you'll be discussing in your committee meetings. And while you're getting your thoughts together, I'd like to call on Jim Wass, who's chairman of the accreditation committee, and Jim will give a full report on his committee since the last convention. So if the rest of the committee chairman and vice chairman, whoever would like to speak, come forward towards the house mic, and you can stand right over here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, folks. The Accreditation Committee is in the process of developing a program for the accreditation of CALLERLAB member callers as square dance teachers. Why should we bother accrediting ourselves as teachers? New dancer instruction is one of our most important products. If we can define excellence in the delivery of instruction, and if we have a way of examining that, we could do a lot toward improving this key product. How can we do this? We have several patterns to follow already. The Caller Coach Accreditation Program and many other professional certification programs have already defined a structure. The elements of this structure, the typical certification program, speak to the given subject matter, but 5 or 4 general categories. Let's make it 4. Experience, education, knowledge, and skill. We begin with the experience requirement. Experience says you've done this before. We anticipate our experience requirement consisting of both calling and teaching. Next is the education requirement. Education says you've been to school. There are many excellent schools following the curriculum guidelines developed by the CALLERLAB Training Committee, and we expect to use that as a basis for our education requirement. You can supplement your formal education, of course, by studying many fine references, and we expect to publish a study guide toward that end. Having documented some experience and education, can we now infer some knowledge? We hope so, and the knowledge requirement in our program will be measured by a written examination. Development of the examination has been consuming most of the committee's effort over the past year. It's not quite there, but we're working on it. We'd really like to check one more thing. The experience is documented, the knowledge is tested, but how do you really teach? We're looking at several ways to test teaching skill. We hope to come up with some form of a practical examination in the program, perhaps a demonstration teach. Another option we're considering is maybe you could video or audio tape one of your classes. Assuming that we can reliably check square dance teaching experience, education, knowledge, and skill, and the Accreditation Committee really believes that we can then provide a solid framework for improving the product of new dancer instruction. We expect to field this program sometime after the Los Angeles Convention. But while we're waiting, how can you immediately begin improving your product of new dancer instruction? Begin by exploring why people learn, how people learn, and better ways to help them learn. You can also help the Accreditation Committee in improving its product. I have a sample written examination here, which we're going to print some more copies of. 10 questions, and we're asking anybody who will to come to our meeting, 10:45, where? The Westport room, this morning, 10:45 this morning, and take the sample test for us. It costs you nothing but a few minutes of your time, and will help us a bunch as we develop the real examination. And we won't tell anybody how you did. The last thing we want to do is produce a program and examination that doesn't make sense, so we really want to run it by some real people. Like many programs that help professionals improve their product, the CALLERLAB Square Dance Teacher Accreditation will be a voluntary program. We want people who want to improve their product. You'll hear us pushing it, but it's still voluntary. The program seeks to include, not exclude. This program, like all good accreditation programs, is not a wall to entry, but a bar to leap over. Consider it your opportunity to improve your product. Thanks.
Okay, now I'd like to have the other committee chairman come to the floor microphone, introduce yourself, and tell us what you'll be doing in the committee meeting.
Jerry Reed, Choreographic Applications. During the past year, the CAC has completed work on a new caller training manual called the Choreographic Guidelines. This document contains an in-depth discussion of several aspects of calling, including factors contributing to smoothness and difficulty. This document is intended to be used as a caller training aid not only for callers who teach callers, but also for callers' self-study. The book will be available through the Home Office upon approval by the Board. Our major project this year has been investigation into the requirements to develop additional formation and arrangement pictograms. Initial work in this project resulted in the determination that formation arrangement pictograms are needed for 16 additional formations. Most of these additional formations are left-hand versions of existing formation arrangement pictograms. Others are formations which are becoming more popular, including three-quarter tag and hourglasses. The committee is in the final phase of this project, and that is the process to determine the arrangement numbers for these 16 additional formations. During our committee meeting tomorrow at 10:45 in Westport, we will be discussing this project in detail. I would encourage any of you who are interested in this project or who have any thoughts about this project to attend our committee meeting. This project will have long-term, profound impact on the caller training and choreographic applications discussions, and if you have any thoughts on this project, I would encourage you to attend our committee meeting tomorrow morning, 10:45 in Westport. Thank you.
I'm Cal Campbell. I'm the chairman of vice for the community dance program. We're obviously on a roll, and we'd like to keep the ball rolling and make the snowball bigger. I think we're doing very well within the retirement communities and very well within the adult part of our square dancing, but we'd like to look this week at what we can do for a new generation of dancers. 10:45 tomorrow morning. Where, Ken? What? Yeah, Shawnee Mission. We're going to have a meeting where we're going to talk about the new generation of dancers and how we can use perhaps the CDP program in many areas to be able to generate this new generation of dancers. My part of the topic is going to be specifically on how we can get the college level people interested, because I think we can do a lot in terms of generating dancers at the high school level and dancers at other levels, but we're going to get our leaders out of the college level people. How many people in this room were in college level square dance clubs at one point in time that are current leaders? Look at them. A bunch. You know, I was. A lot of us came out of college level environments. How many of you got your fire in the 20s when you were 20 to 30 year age range? Many of you? Yeah, I had to reword that carefully. I was going to give myself a lot of trouble. We're going to talk about this age group and what we can do to get them interested in dancing and becoming dance leaders. We're going to talk about the future, where we're going to go with this program. We're going to have a committee meeting tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. We're going to look at perhaps having a training session to where people can come on in and we can teach you how to prompt or cue. We assume you know how to call, but we can give you a hand at leaping the gap from learning how to prompt and how to cue. We've got some exciting things going on. One of the things you're going to hear if you go to the USAWest meeting, they've committed to having a CDP dance at USAWest every hour that program is open. And we're looking at this in the Denver area as being an exciting time to be able to introduce maybe 1,000 to 2,000 people to the idea of dancing. Look at this for your community as well. We've got a lot of exciting things going on. Our committee meeting is 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. The panel, which will be Dennis Leatherman, myself, and Ken Kernan, will be at 10:45. Come around. We're part of your future.
I'm Yona Chalk from the Contra and Traditional Dance Committee. I'm the vice chairman. Tony McGummer couldn't be here at the last minute because he had a drastic career change. He didn't say whether it was up or down, but... Okay, we meet today at 10:45. We will be talking about a proposal that was made last year by Judy Campbell to create a skills inventory of callers within the entire CALLERLAB organization. John Sybalsky tells me that his committee's been working on it, and he'll give me a progress report. We'll have it at the meeting. We will also be discussing under new business taking all of the quarterlies for Contra and Traditional Dance that have been published and putting them together in a booklet that could be used by all callers for one-night stands, by CDP callers as part of their regular program, and by Contra prompters to enrich and enlarge their repertoire. We have a session today, 10:45, is our committee meeting. At Tuesday, 1:30, Pershing East and West, we will have an accreditation session. We will have 3 experienced Contra prompters who will evaluate and critique your calling technique for any callers that wish to become accredited Contra prompters. We also need inexperienced dancers, because one of the things that we judge your ability on is how well you can take a bunch of idiots and get them through a Contra program. So if we have any people here who are not busy at 1:30 on Tuesday, we'd appreciate your cooperation. Today at 3:30, there will be a Contra Basic Interest session in Pershing South. If you have not done Contra or never experienced it and would like to expand your repertoire, come to the Contra Basic Interest section today at 3:30. Thank you all very much.
Having just come from hell, I'm on fire about the importance of our committee. We represent the Caller Association Liaison Committee. Took a year to learn to say that. But anyway, we will meet right away after this session. It's hell at a microphone. I will continue. We will meet after this session in the Roanoke Room. We invite anyone who's interested in our committee to come. We, of course, have a committee of a number of people. We also have what we call reps that go out. We have 50 of them that go out and visit caller associations all over the country and into Canada, and we appreciate all the help that they've given us. But if you're interested in some of the work that we do, please come. We'd like to have you. This is one of our products 3 times a year. The link goes out to, and it's a 4-page document, goes out to a member or 2 members of every association. Even the associations that are not affiliated with CALLERLAB. There are about 176 of them. You might check when you get back and go to your next association meeting. If the association is not affiliated with CALLERLAB, we think it would be advisable for you to urge them to do so. But nevertheless, this for the next year at least will go out 3 times to those associations, every association. You may not see it, but you can ask the representative, the president, the secretary, whoever is getting this, to make copies and distribute them to your members. We also have the REPS program going for us pretty strong. We visited right now 68 associations done by 50 reps. We're really appreciative of all their work. Ken Ratucci is going next to Alaska, and we pay 29 cents a mile. He wants to drive to this, I understand. but there is a limit, Ken, and so I just wanted to mention that. But whichever comes first, $10. Okay. So anyway, if you're interested in the work of our committee, please come by the very next session in the Roanoke. Let's see. There we go. There we go.
I always knew you were from hell. The RPM committee will meet tomorrow at today at 3:30 in the Roanoke room. If you want to know about what we're doing with recruitment, or if you have ideas for recruitment, or if you maybe want to double the size of your club in 1 year, we meet at 3:30 in the Roanoke room today.
I think I'll take this thing. Whoops. Hey, you better help me. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to take this here. How many of you are using sound enhancements in your clubs? Sound, yeah. I get caught again. I get caught in that every time. I haven't learned yet. We spend a lot of time and money recruiting, teaching new dancers. Why not keep those we have taught? When dancers cannot hear the calls, they tend to leave rather than admit a loss of hearing. Can we catch them without embarrassment? New dancers. Also, have you been in a hall with bad sound? Not if the callers have done it, no. But you do have good hearing. Get a personal receiver with a double earplugs, and you will have excellent sound because you get it through the transmitter. Our committee meeting will demo what the system does. We can discuss how to develop guidelines for acquisition. Talk to me. Eh? Thank you.
I'm Jack Murtha, and we have the Education Committee. We're going to be meeting Tuesday in Penn Valley Room at 1:30. Our major interest is in finding ways to get square dancing into more schools. And we'll have some discussion among our committee members about experiences they've had regarding that during this past year. And if the phone calls I keep receiving from people all over the country are any indication, we're getting square dancing into lots of schools, and it sounds like we've got a very successful program growing. So come on over and visit with us if you can.
Hi, name's Bill Harrison, chairman of the Career Callers Committee. The meeting is at 5 p.m. This evening at the Roanoke. We've upped the time to 5 so that most folks who are interested in the committee could attend. We're going to discuss a little bit about disability insurance that we've been working on for the whole year. We have about a 7-page report on that, and then we're having a little computer session following that on some of the programs that are distributed by Supreme Audio and the rest. So if you're interested, it's 5 p.m. Roanoke.
I'm back. God has ways of leveling us. You mentioned idiots. It turns out I'm one of them. Tuesday night after the banquet, 9:15 p.m., Contra and Traditional Dancing. Y'all come.
Good morning. Larry Cole from the Basic Mainstream Committee. We meet tomorrow, Tuesday, at 3:30 in the Roanoke. We'll be discussing our just completed project, and I have near final totals with me. Not complete. There's 4 or 5 laying at home. For establishing a teach time for the basic program alone. We'll be open to lots of general discussion. You don't have to be a committee member to come and participate, only to vote. So come out, whether you're a committee member or not, give us your input. And of course, for next year, we're starting to look at our biannual review and possible changes to those lists.
Martin Mallard, chairman of the Caller Coach Committee. First of all, we do have a Caller Coach informal, and that will be on Tuesday afternoon at 3:30 in the gallery. We've been very fortunate over the last year because of the Collar Coach Informals. We now have at this convention 3 new collar coaches undergoing their final oral examinations with existing collar coaches. We also have 2 out in the wings that are going to be doing their written exams and so forth. If you are interested in becoming a collar coach, go to the Collar Coach Informal. You may be surprised at the answers you will get, but there are many, many callers sitting right here today we feel should be collar coaches. You may be one of them. Join us.
Continuing in alphabetical order. I'm John Kaltenthaler from Collar Training Committee. Some of you may have seen the Collar Starter Kit which we put out. It's done very well. It's gone into the second printing. CALLERLAB Training Committee has put out the CALLERLAB Training Guidelines and the Technical Supplement. And to that Technical Supplement, we have 2 additional chapters which have been written and published, Women in Calling and the Formation Management. And our third project, which we're working on, are the best of the CALLERLAB tapes. If you're interested in any discussion on collar training, if you're involved with training of new callers, please come to attend our meeting, 3 o'clock this afternoon, Penn Valley.
I'm Laurel Eddy, speaking on behalf of the CALLERLAB Foundation Development Committee. How many of you know what the CALLERLAB Foundation for the Preservation and Promotion of Square Dancing is? Not enough hands. Let me just give you a brief overview. The CALLERLAB Foundation was established about 5 years ago with a tax-exempt and tax-deductible status so that we can ensure the preservation and promotion of our activity. We do that through education as well as providing collar training. We're looking at a lot of different avenues so that we can go out and really sell our product, and that's what our whole convention is about, improving our product. Tomorrow at 1:30 in the Westport Room, the CALLERLAB Foundation Development Committee will be meeting looking at projects that might be appropriate for us to undertake as a nonprofit organization so that we can promote our activity. If you have ideas or any expertise in that field, we would be more than happy to have you as part of that committee. Joy Morris will be there as well as Jerry Junk and myself, and we hope that you'll take the time to come out and share your ideas on how we can really go out and promote the CALLERLAB Foundation. Thank you.
I wanted to go next since I can reach a microphone before Grace gets here. Tonight at 9:22 Eastern Time, Syracuse University, where we are very local. No, that's a different meeting, isn't it? Bob Stern, Chairman of the Advanced Committee. Tomorrow at 1:30, we are expecting to have a meeting with the Joint Committee of the quarterly selection of advanced. It's going to be in one of the rooms over here. I'm not sure where, but we'll find it. In 1995, we had a committee meeting, and we suggested several calls to change on the list. Apparently, 99 and 100% of the people were happy with that because we did not receive a lot of complaints about it. If you have anything you'd like to add to this, please come to our committee meeting at 1:30 tomorrow. Thank you.
He is sort of short, huh? My name is Grace Wheatley, and I'm chairman of the women that are proud to be callers of this association. And we're going to have 2 sessions on Tuesday. First one is on safety. Some people were requesting a session on safety last year, and we have a woman police officer that's going to come do that session tomorrow morning at 10:45 in the Pershing East and West room. In the afternoon, we have a session at 1:30, and it's in the President's room, and we are interested in women that would like to contribute ideas toward benefiting CALLERLAB and making us part of this association. Thank you.
Back to the short people. Let's go pull out. I'm Karen Riptoe, let's start over again. I'm Karen Riptoe, chairman of the Partners Committee. We have 3 sessions. They're all in Pershing East and West. We have over 200 handouts for you to take back and share with club members, other callers, partners at home. Our part 1 at 10:45 is Organization Functional Thoughts, the partner with Betty Conrad, Rosie Edison, and Margie Mankin. Part 2 will be right after lunch at 1:30 with myself, Kathy Burdick, and Doris Barner. Like I said, make use of the handouts. And I think our number one panel that we will have tomorrow, we all know how much importance it places on callers and their partners. At 9 a.m. in the morning, we will have Working Relationships with Bob and Becky Osgood, Frank and Barbara Lane, Herb and Kathy Agender.
I'm John Sybalsky of the R&D Committee. We are currently in the process of putting together 4 surveys to try and find out some things. The first is the skills inventory that Judy Campbell suggested, along with an assessment of people's interests in the CDP and various CALLERLAB programs. The second is a survey on why people do or do not attend conventions. Third, why people do or don't belong to CALLERLAB. Those 2 are real important. I've got a draft survey for them, and I'd sure appreciate people coming and taking a look at it and making comments. Right, I had to interrupt myself, and I'm going to get to 4. I'm an idiot, I'll come back later.
Ed Foote, Chairman, Challenge Committee. Our committee meeting has been changed. It shows us Tuesday afternoon in your program. It's been changed to 5 o'clock today in Penn Valley, and we will be discussing matters of interest to the callers who are calling that phase of the program.
Morning. I'm Doran McBroom, Chairman Plus Quarterly Selection. 3:30 this afternoon in Westport, I believe, we have the only quarterly selection meeting for Plus or Mainstream. So we'll be there to answer your questions, hear your comments, take your suggestions. Thank you.
All right, I'm not a complete idiot.
Ladies and gentlemen, our parliamentarian, John Sybalsky.
By now I've completely offended the guys who cross the Canadian border. One of the problems facing folks who travel back and forth to Canada, of course, is that if you don't have the right work permit, you can get in real trouble. Tim Crawford has talked to the immigration folks on both sides of the border. They need to get some information about square dance callers so that they can classify us as a unique occupation so that we don't get lumped in with singers and actors and everybody else. Once we do that, we have been assured that we can get easy access to visas across the border. We need to put together a survey to find out about a dozen things about the folks who cross the border. We'll have Tim, I hope, at our meeting, and we'd appreciate some folks to come and help us design that document.
That's okay, Clark.
My name's Clark Baker. I'm representing the definitions subcommittee. We've never had a definitions committee meeting here at CALLERLAB. I decided to schedule one this year. I get a lot of input over electronic mail and letters from the Home Office throughout the year. Questions come up in the definitions. Many people have requests for clarifications. I have a big folder I stick all this stuff in, but so far we haven't done a major revision or anything. If you have questions or comments or need clarifications or whatever, you can come to the meeting that's scheduled. I have no idea what's going to happen at it, so I'll be curious to see how much interest there is in this. I am also the chairman of Quarterly Selection Coordinating, which isn't really a committee and we don't have a meeting. If you have concerns on the Quarterly Selection program, you should go to one of the 2 meetings that were scheduled, one for Plus and one for Advanced. The Mainstream Quarterly Selection is not meeting this year. Finally, there's a talk today, I believe at 5 o'clock, on computers. This is different from the Caller Coach talk about computers, also at 5 o'clock today. So if you have any interest in computers, using them, using the internet, if you want to know what the World Wide Web is or something, then you can come to that, and I'll be moderating that. Thank you.
John, do you have anything else to say? We're going to be able to finish. This is supposed to go to 10:15, but we're going to be able to finish a little bit early, which will give you a couple of opportunities. It'll give you, for those of you guys here for the first time, it'll give you a couple of opportunities to talk to some of these famous faces and things that you see out there. It's really kind of nice to see some new old faces out there. I see some faces out there that I have not seen in a while, and it's very nice to see some new old faces out there. I like that. Don't forget to visit the exhibit area. I got a bunch of exhibitors out there, and I understand that Bill Hyman is selling everything half price today. If you have any questions or anything, look at the badges. You'll see a bunch of guys. There should be about 23 of us wearing red badges that'll say Board of Governors. Red ribbons. Yeah, so bad. Red ribbons. If you have any questions or comments, or if you can't find George, get a hold of one of us, and we'll do our best to try. We'll find George. For those of you guys here, for the first time, as you attend the panels and the sessions, you're probably not going to agree with everything that's said, and that's good. You ought to be able to disagree with anything anybody says. Anytime you think you have something pertinent to say, if it conflicts with anything that's going on, stand up and say it. That's why you're here. We want your input. We get tired of hearing the same old bunch of us talk, and it's a pleasure to hear some new people talk. So have a good convention. At this time, I'd like to reintroduce our Executive Director, the Reverend and most auspicious George Bartholomew White.
Thank you, Tony. Last summer, the Executive Committee appointed a selection committee to seek out an assistant executive director for CALLERLAB. This fellow will eventually probably take over the job of executive director. We put an ad in, I guess it's an ad or a notice in the last June's issue of Direction, asking people that were interested in the job to call the home office and order an application. We received over 30 applications from our members for the position of assistant executive director. The selection committee reviewed all 30 of those applicants, narrowed it down to about 7, spent a great deal of time reviewing those 7 applicants, narrowed it down to 2 more, interviewed 2 of the applicants, and the final selection was made from Rockledge, Florida, Jerry Reed. Now, Jerry was elected to the Board of Governors in last August's Board of Governors election. He was sworn in on the Board of Governors this morning, as you may have noticed. He's now going to come up here and resign.
Yeah, you got a plaque? Thank you, George. It is true that Bill has reduced all the prices by 50%. Unfortunately, Peggy raised everything by 100%. We're back to where we were. I am deeply honored to have been elected to the board. This vote by the membership is truly a great honor, which means very much to me. And I would like to thank each of those who voted for me for that great honor. I'm also deeply honored to have been selected to serve as the Executive Assistant Director. Unfortunately, I must relinquish my seat on the board to accept the position of Assistant Executive Director. Therefore, upon confirmation of my selection as the Assistant Executive Director by the Board of Governors, I will relinquish my seat on the board. I look forward to serving you, to serving the board, and also your Executive Director, George White. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry, and welcome aboard. A few announcements before we break for coffee. If you see or experience what you consider to be an emergency situation, there is an emergency response team on site. Just pick up any house phone and dial 3. That's a very quick, it's even better than 911. There will be someone there to help almost immediately. So just remember the number 3. If you see any emergency, call them. If anyone here is interested in running for the Board of Governors, you can pick up a petition at the registration desk. You must have been a full member for a minimum of 3 years and obtain the signatures of 25 full members on the petition. Nominees will be given a few minutes to campaign at the general meeting on Wednesday. Because of two resignations from the board this year, we will be voting for 10 board members next August. Petitions may be turned in here at the convention if you get them signed here, or they may be mailed to the home office by July 1st. The exhibitors are located in the Liberty Room. I think most of you have probably found that already. Your convention package has the hours that the exhibits will be open. Stop in and browse and buy from everyone, not just Supreme Audio. Otherwise, Supreme Audio will be the only one back next year.
They've got everything on sale for that.
All interest sessions will be taped by Convention Tapes International. We're trying something new this year. In the past, we've had a floor microphone like this, and people were reluctant to get up from the back of the room and come forward to speak on the microphone. It's very important that you speak on the microphone if you have a question or comment so that it gets recorded on the tape. There's nothing worse than paying $10 for a cassette and listening to 5 minutes of blank airtime while someone speaks from the back of the room. We have been offered an excellent deal by Supreme Audio, 50% off. On 4 handheld remote microphones, which CALLERLAB now owns. We will have those in each room. I would like to ask any of you that are attending a particular session if you would go up to the moderator of the panel and volunteer to carry the remote microphone around the room to people who want to speak. It would help us out a great deal. So if you'd like to donate some of your time to CALLERLAB, come in the room, go up to see the moderator, say, I will volunteer to carry the handheld remote mic around to people who want to speak. Okay, a tape order form was included in your convention packet. If you order your tapes by, let's say, Tuesday morning, they will be all done and ready for you to pick up and take home with you on Wednesday. There is also a critique sheet in your packet. That is a very important convention planning document. Tell us what is important to you, what kind of sessions you attended, what you thought of those sessions, and whether or not you would like to see the same session presented again next year. You can turn them in here before you leave. If you want to spend more time writing them, take them home and mail them to the home office. The only scheduled change that I'm aware of is the one that Ed Foote announced for the Challenge Committee, who will be meeting tonight at 5 o'clock in the Penn Valley Room instead of tomorrow afternoon. Tonight, Clark mentioned one of the what we call birds of a feather session on computers. That will be at 5 o'clock in the Penn Valley Room. At 5 o'clock also in the Roanoke Room, Darrell Clendenin will host a birds of a feather session on calling in the retirement parks or the resorts down south. I hope most of them are south. Luncheon today will be your first of 6 meals included in the convention package. Your badge is your meal ticket. And to quote John Collenthaler, in alphabetical. No meals, no exceptions. Roger! All right. Those of you who ordered special diets found colored tickets in your registration pack. If you didn't, you should have come see us at the registration office. You use these. They're dated by each day, like Monday lunch. When you sit down for lunch, place your ticket at the station in front of you, and the wait staff is instructed to ask you which kind of special diet you ordered and bring it to you. The coffee break was probably ready for us as we follow this meeting. The next session starts promptly at 10:45. We hope to see you all there taking part in our interest sessions. Thank you all, and have a good convention.